Welcome to this how-to video. My name is Kelly Campbell. I look after Project ERM Help, and I'm going to give you an overview of controls testing in the new controls library and show you how to perform some of the common controls testing tasks. Here's a breakdown of what this video will cover. First, we'll look at an overview of controls testing and how it works. Then we'll create a control test template to guide testers and reviewers, and then we'll create a control test using the template data. Finally, we'll schedule this test to be automatically created at a defined frequency. This video is about the new controls library, which is included in version 12 of Project ERM. The feature is included but switched off, so it doesn't disrupt your existing controls process or structure. When you're ready to use it, please contact your account manager. Controls testing is now integrated into the new control library. Schedule and perform testing within the control entry using our standard pre-built forms. You can also use templates to guide assigned testers and reviewers, and you can automate the creation of new tests according to your preferred regular schedule. So to create a control test template, open the controls library and then open the control. There are two test template tabs in the control entry. One is for design effectiveness and the other for operating effectiveness. In this video, we're going to create a design effectiveness test template, so we'll open that tab. On the tab, enter the data that you want to be pre-filled into test entries based on this template. I'm adding a test objective, test instructions, and test criteria. I'm also assigning a control tester, control reviewer, initial test date, and test frequency. When you're done, click Save. And now we're going to create a control test based on this new template. So once again, you would need to open the control within the controls library. Then open the control testing tab. On this tab, there are two subtables, one for design effectiveness tests and the other for operating effectiveness tests. We're going to create a design effectiveness test, so to do that, click Create New in the Design Effectiveness Test subtable. At this point, you'll see an option to either create a new test as a blank entry with no data, or as an entry pre-filled with data from the template. I want to use the template data, so I'm just going to make sure that option is selected, and then I also want this entry to be automatically created at a defined frequency. So I make sure that Enable Auto Create is also selected here, and then click Create. The control test entry form looks the same for design and operating effectiveness tests. The form opens at the Test Instructions tab. This is where the information from the template is copied in. So at this stage of the process, review the information in the Test Instructions tab and add or update anything you need to help the tester. On this tab, it's really important to make sure that you have selected a control tester. I already added these users to the template, so that information has been copied into my new entry. But if you create a test with no assigned users and you have enabled Auto Create, the new test entries based on that schedule will have no users assigned to them. Similarly, it's important to include a test date because this due date drives the schedule for automatic creation. Finally, click Save and Close, and if you have enabled Auto Create for this test, the dialog will appear for you to define that schedule. So going straight into the process for scheduling a control test, first we need to define how often the test should be created. I want this test to occur annually, so I'm selecting 1 year after the current due date. Next, I want the new entry to be available to testers 1 month before its next due date, so I select 1 month here. You can select fields in the entry form to copy data into the new test entry. However, be aware that anything in the test template takes precedence. If you do select to copy field values, you'll get an option for choosing those fields. Next, select the due date, and this is the date field that will drive the schedule. Before you finish, just make sure that the checkbox under Other items that link to this register entry remains selected. This ensures that new tests created from the schedule will be linked to the control. If that checkbox is not selected, if it's cleared, then your new test entries will not be linked back to the control. Finally, click Save. Back in the Control Test subtable, the Auto Create column shows which tests have been scheduled and the status of each schedule. So we can see here that the test I've just created has been scheduled for Auto Create. Once the new test has been created based on that entry, the status will change to Fulfilled. If I created a test without enabling Auto Create, that status would show as Off. And finally, I'm just going to save the control. And our new control test that is based on a template is ready to go, and it will be automatically created every year and available to the tester 1 month before its due date.